Live from Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM, this is Script to Screen with host Alan Mehanna.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Script to Screen here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. I'm your host, Alan Mehanna, and this is episode 206 of this season, and it is entitled A Proportional Response, This Sit and Talk. And you'll understand why this is it's just such a long and lengthy title. It's even two titles, but I'm learning from a great man, a great screenwriter and now director, but he's not my guest. If only he was my guest. Now I got someone better today. My guest today on Script to Screen is none other than one of my closest friends, a young lady who is a monster on a set, who's I kind of used this term last week, but I'm using it again this week, is a powerhouse a producer in this country. She is someone who has pushed younger filmmakers and supported them with every breath that she's taken. But she's also worked on professional sets all over, not just in the MENA region. She's traveled. She's well-learned, and she's here with us, my good friend, Miss Rania Atallah.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
And Sorkin's sister. Sorry, and we'll tackle that term in a second.
We have to.
We have to tackle Sorkin's sister. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Finally,
yes.
You're on this show.
Yes, finally.
We tried for season 1, did not really work.
No, too busy with the project.
Yes, too busy with the project that I'm definitely sure we'll talk about and discuss. And this is going to be a very interesting episode. Normally on this show, I like things to be frank and transparent. So
great.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kind of shows we like.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you are going to be very frank and very, very transparent. Normally on the show, the first segment of the show, I like to give the platform to my guest in order to introduce themselves, talk about how they got to where they are, so that our listeners and our viewers, because we are on the web now as well, on the tube of you, the YouTube, to get to know who you are. So I normally kind of like to take a step back and let my guests kind of take control and give us their CV.
How much time do you have?
Yeah.
How much time do you have?
We have an hour, so the first segment's normally like around 10 minutes.
Okay.
So do your best to kind of just like...
I gotta zap it into 10 minutes.
Sorkin dialogue it as much as possible. And just, the floor is yours.
So... shall we start with fascination with films, fascination with TV series, obsession, addiction, ever since I was a kid. So
it's your floor.
All right. So I'm pretty sure this is the same story, how it begins with everyone. We're obsessed with films. We love watching TV series. We love being a part of it, and there wasn't any YouTube back then, nothing. We just had to wait on TV for a specific time. And
back then, you sound like you're talking about the 60s and the 50s.
It sounds like, it feels like it sometimes.
It
feels like it sometimes. So fast forward to university years, you got to make a choice, and I made the wrong choice. So I chose science. I chose medical lab, and I was super
that was
pumped.
A plot twist right there. I thought you were saying like you chose the wrong choices in this industry.
No.
That was a smart dialogue move right there.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm getting to the second plot twist. So I chose science, and I love science. I'm a big nerd. Sometimes I don't look it, but I am a big nerd, and obsession with science and Discovery Channel and all of that. And I graduated, and once I was done, I was like, no, I'm not working in hospitals. This is not for me. This doesn't do me any good. I'm dying.
Wait, you finished the science degree?
I finished the science degree, and I'm going to Sorkin this one, and I'm going to say I graduated with high honors, and I worked...
What kind of science degree was it?
It was a medical laboratory. I was a lab technician, a specialist.
Whoa!
So I can do full-on blood tests. I can do any kind of test you want. I can diagnose you and leave it up to the doctor to tell you what to do. But I worked at 2 hospitals. And
wow, that's a side of you that I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and this is a side of her I don't. Yeah.
I don't talk about it much, but I figured, why not share?
Why not share?
Why not share? So inside the hospital, I was yearning for some human contact, some stories, because everyone is a paper. Everyone is a test tube. Mm-hmm. They don't have any face. They don't have any emotions. And I would escape the lab and go up to the rooms and talk to patients. And, I would get phone calls and come back down to the lab. And I was like, this is not my thing. So I go back to university and I talk to my dean, Dr. Joe Ajame, and I'm like, listen, doctor, I need arts, I need stories, I need human contact. And I've already finished a degree. I can't go through that again. And he's like, how about you register for a master's degree in media? I'm like, okay, I could do that. So I register for a master's degree. I get some undergraduate courses and I'm hooked. Script writing, filmmaking, TV production. This is it. This is what I want to do. And I decided to take more undergraduate courses up until a point where I was doing both undergraduate and master's at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
In the same thing. So I was always signing petitions and asking for extra courses and extra credit. And I was on full scholarship. My dad thanks me for that. Mm-hmm. So after that, one of my teachers, Walid Nassif, was a director in this field. He was one of my first teachers, and he's like, there's something, you got something, let's meet up, let's talk music videos, and meet me on set. And I would go on set and just stand there like a complete idiot, not knowing what things look like, and is that what people do? Oh, what's in the caravan? What's catering?
There's this American saying, it's like a child in a candy store.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Or
Definitely.
a toy store.
You look at the artists and you go like, this is what they look like in real life. They walk on 2 feet just like us.
The truth has been unveiled.
Yeah. So I began working on music videos with him. Mm-hmm. And after a while, it was, music video industry was booming back then. And we would be working on a music video, preparing another one, and haven't slept from a previous one. It was continuous work. It was 18-hour days. There was nothing called overtime. There was nothing called cutoff time.
There still is nothing called overtime.
It's better. It's better.
Oh, okay.
It's better. I mean, at least now they pay you overtime, or they talk about it before getting into it.
Most of the time they talk about it.
We'll let this one slide.
All right.
So I moved from music videos. I went to work on reality shows. I traveled to Egypt. I lived there almost a year. We worked on a reality show that was eye-opening, because you actually enter into people's lives. And at some point, we all know reality is a bit triggered from the outsiders, from us as producers. So you realize how much you're influencing them, how much you're affecting their lives, how much you're triggering them. So that was a very learned process. It was fascinating. After, reality TVs, I went into full-on producing on my own.
Okay.
And I landed some really good projects. I've been really lucky. I filmed in Saudi Arabia, huge budgets. I filmed all over Europe. I've done the Arab world, Turkey, and I'm coming up to another big project. So it's still an ongoing process. So that would be me.
We'll keep that one in the case file for now.
It is still in the case file. We signed too many non-disclosure agreements to talk about it. So that's mainly me. That would be my experience. I love films. I love scripts. I love TV shows. And I'm guessing like one step at a time, you get to know everything, because in this business there, you've got documentaries, you've got ads, you've got TV shows, live shows, pre-recorded, and it's, you got to try from everything. And so far I've been lucky to be a part of a little bit of everything. And I like I'm a monster on set.
Yeah. No,
the
way I met you is I met you because we were working on the Middle East Airlines, new in-flight video, safety video. And
أهلا وسهلا بكم في ربوعنا الخلابة.
Yeah. For any of you who travel Middle East Airlines all the time, I'm very sorry. Because you get
it's a good
No,
piece of
I'm not
work.
sorry about the work. I'm sorry about that they have to deal with me constantly.
Okay. And they can't, touch the remote, and they can't flip to anything.
I've heard many complaints from friends. You're cutting off my film.
Yes. We have the tendency to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember kind of talking to you on and off up until maybe the second or third day, when we were filming, and I remember at one point I was looking around at the crew, and I look up towards a hill. There was a hill where we were shooting, and I look up, and you were literally in like the crouching, one knee down, one knee up, literally glaring at, and in my mind,
vantage point. I needed the vantage point.
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, this is a she-wolf looking out at her territory.
At the back, yeah.
This is like,
I'm very territorial on shoots.
I'm
and I needed a vantage point because the shoot was too difficult. On the other side, you've got all of this fog, and people could literally fall off the cliff we were shooting at. And you had the actors here, and you had the chairs that took a hell lot of time to come to set because it was a long distance and we couldn't bring in the cars.
Yeah, I remember.
It was like this just widely distributed set. So I just needed a vantage point, and I found the top of the cliff to be the perfect place for it. So.
And I remember seeing for that.
I still have the picture. You took a picture of me.
That shot right there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a shot. Like that shot in my mind, I'm like, I got to be really good friends with her because she is a good person to have, not just for professional purposes, but also for friend purposes. And I'm glad that it's panned out so far.
I'm glad too.
I'm glad that it's panned out so far.
Yes. Fascinating show.
Beautiful track. Yeah.
A fascinating show.
It is quite a fascinating show. I think
there's a genius to it that no one has done before.
Mm-hmm.
He used past events to create a TV show about a news show. And he didn't even have to create the events. He just based it on...
Yeah, he based it on actual
factual events. And when you're watching, you're like, I know how this ends, but I'd like to know the process of how they got there.
Yeah. And this is we've just jumped into Sorkin already. It's like...
we have this tendency anyways. Yeah. We always
somehow,
do.
we'll be talking about what we had for breakfast, and somewhere along the lines we're like, Sorkin.
Sorkin wouldn't do that. Or, we wouldn't say that.
The brilliance of... Sorkin in general is that the majority of the works that he's done, excluding kind of The West Wing and The American President, and maybe A Few Good Men, the majority of his work, most recent work, has been work that's based on actualities.
Yes.
So you've got, Steve Jobs, The Social Network.
Even past works like Sports Night. Based on actual games that were played, NFL games.
Molly's Game, Charlie Wilson's War, Moneyball. He has, and then The Newsroom. Did
you say Social Network?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay. He has the tendency of taking these facts and then spinning a story out of them, a narrative out of them.
And it's always like backstage.
Yeah. Where even if you know the outcome, you're still interested to know how we got there.
And how they got there, exactly.
And then this is kind of the brilliance of the Newsroom, which is like how did the news kind of get there? How did
it start? It was a ping, and then it was the alert was amber alert, and then it was a red alert, and it was I love the genius of his writing. It's the way he manipulates dialogue.
Yeah, and what's interesting about dialogue was kind of it's only the natural thing to talk about next.
Yeah.
It's very divisive. There are a lot of people that do not like his work.
Because most people, when they tune into something, they want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't entertain you in the typical sense.
Right.
You can't have a popcorn when you're watching him. You got to be so focused.
You really can't.
This is why I haven't watched Molly's Game yet. I need to focus. I need time because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes of Sorkin.
Yeah, it is quite a lengthy film.
Yeah, it is.
And with Sorkin actually directing this film as well, it's so much Sorkin, it's not even funny.
That's why, this is why they're so divisive on. Not decisive on his.
They're divisive.
They're divisive on his work because not everyone wants to watch a film to learn or to enjoy the dialogue because people are visual creatures.
Yes,
and they want to watch and they want to be entertained. And after a long day's work at the bank or as a cashier or whatever job they do, they don't want to come home and think again.
You're right.
So this is why Sorkin has a certain clientele, if you want.
Yeah.
And we're part of that clientele because
we're VIPs.
We are VIPs because we like our brains being zapped into thinking how did he put these two words together? How did he make something as trivial as a piece of the ceiling falling
or a tie
into an entire scene or his suit is missing or I'm pretty sure like we lost half of our viewers because
listeners, viewers, everybody.
Listeners,
They're like, what are they talking about?
Who are they talking about?
And that feeling that the viewers, the listeners and the viewers are getting right now, that what are they talking about? Yet I'm so interested because I want to keep listening. That's Sorkin.
Oh, it's Sorkin.
It's literally, you know, one of the things that he says in his masterclass is, as long as your characters understand what they're talking about, everything else doesn't matter. Yeah. Because an audience member wants to trust that the character actually knows what they're talking about. So if your characters know what they're talking about, that's all that matters, even if it's complete jargon to the audience.
Even when you feel like Sorkin's writing, he doesn't care if you understand what he's saying.
As long as it sounds
good and it's got a symphonic feel to it or harmonic feel to it, he doesn't mind. He doesn't even, I have the feeling he doesn't even know half of the stuff he talks about when it comes to business, you know, the business terms and all of that.
Or politics.
Or politics. So I think it goes the same for him.
Going back to you now.
Back to me, yeah.
We'll come back to Sorkin again at this point at some point in the episode.
Even after the interview, we'll
yeah. So you said you've done, again, you've worked, you have a kind of a massive CV.
I do.
Which is kind of good. I think it's a good thing to have at your age, which we will not share with you guys.
Doesn't.
Because it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But it is kind of a interesting thing and a rare thing to have someone at your age be so well experienced in the field, and
I want to say different positions. Yes, definitely. My first jobs, I didn't even know who I was on set because, the director would say, I'd love to have you on set. We're filming at that location. I know you have class tomorrow, but just pass by. So I would be on set at 6 a.m. That's how bad I wanted it. So at the beginning, I didn't even know who does what. So I didn't know how to tag myself. Like, who am I on set? Until one of those days, they were standing there in catering. And one of the camera assistants, he's like, could you move away for the assistant director? And I'm looking back. I'm like, who's the assistant director? And it was me. He was referring to me. I'm like, oh, so my job is assistant director here. So when I noticed that, too many jobs on set, a lot of people doing a lot of things, I knew this was for me, so I wanted to experience everything. I mean, I've rolled wires with the guys, I've changed lenses, I've never done a focus puller, but I know how they work. I've never carried the lights, but I've observed, I've helped out a lot. I went on every student shoot all of my friends asked for. I was there 100%. And I never said no to a job. Never, even if it was not paid, low paid, very highly paid, I never said no. It was a music video for a song I didn't like, I didn't even know the artist. It didn't matter. I just wanted to be on set and I wanted to know everything. So I did climb up the ladder, if you want. And I started off as someone who was there holding a paper for the director. And I barely knew what the codes were on the paper. What's with the timing? It was the timing of the song. And
to someone bossing a director around.
To someone bossing everyone around. Yeah. Yeah. So, and to someone actually handling a shoot from start, from the inception of the idea and the spark of that idea up till the point where you're like, here's your final product. This is what you asked for. This is your ad. This is your music video. This is your TV show, and just enjoy it.
Producer.
Yeah.
So do you think this is where this new, because again, like as a teacher, I'm exposed to the younger generation of filmmakers, and not all of them have that drive.
True.
It
was the same when we were in university. It was the same. You had the students who wanted everything from this field.
Right.
And you had those who just wanted to be on cam.
Right.
That was it. And because of the lack of specialization in universities, and I insist on that point, there is a lack of division.
Right.
This is for actors and this is for directors. And this, of course, you have to know a lot in order to decide what belongs to you and which part you want.
Absolutely.
But it's the same. It's not something about that generation, but there is a certain lack of drive when it comes to throwing themselves into it.
Yes, man, that's my point. Yeah. It's like, I remember when I was in university, just like when you were in university, I was doing whatever I could. I was jumping, I was filming, whether it be stuff for university or stuff on my own, or I was always trying to direct, trying to spin another web and another narrative, another whatever.
We were writing.
Yeah.
We were writing. We were trying to shoot it with, I heard you have a cam. You want to come and be in my film?
I remember
we called them films.
I remember shooting on like the VHS recording cam and
Yes.
like
And it was a fascinating moment when when the tapes shrunk.
they shrunk and then they
Yeah.
became the mini DV and then you've got the mini DV HD
Yes.
tapes and then now
And
it's
then-
like the card.
Yeah. And don't lose it.
Yeah.
It's like it's getting smaller and smaller.
Soon it'll just be you recording with your eye.
Yeah. Mirror, Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Mirror. There is a lack of enthusiasm when it comes to the field because with the new generation, because everything is available. Everything is available right now. I mean, you film on your photography camera, you switch it to video, and you download and you edit and then you upload. That's it. You're done.
You shoot on your iPhone.
You shoot on your iPhone. You edit on your iPhone and or on your Samsung or on your just say smartphone.
Smartphone.
So yeah. So
We're not product placing here.
no, we're not. We're gonna argue about that one later. So at the end of the day, they have everything in this tiny little square. With us, it was more. We started with cinema. We started with rolls of film. Every second was so expensive.
Right.
It was too expensive to even test out. You have to know what shot you want. You have to know your lens. You have to know the lighting and the direction of it because you can't afford this extra second because the roll's going to be done.
Right.
So when it was film, it gave you more motivation to know.
There was an
everything.
urgency to it.
Yes, and you have to learn everything so that you don't mess up at some point, so that your film doesn't, blow out in the sun, or it doesn't overheat in the car, or it's not delivered on time. So all of these things created this sense of urgency that we still have, that doesn't exist in the younger generation.
And do you think this is because of the accessibility of everything now?
Definitely.
This is where it's gotten?
Definitely. And there is a sense of entitlement when it comes to them.
Yes.
This sense of entitlement, it begins with, my work is valued more. Like, based on what?
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Yeah.
I used to upload on YouTube. Okay, so why should I, hire you? And their lack of enthusiasm is because of that accessibility.
So where do you think academia fits into all this then? Because you see, you look at some of the greatest filmmakers of all time and a lot of them were, university dropouts.
They were, but they did watch millions of films.
Right.
They educated themselves. They self-educated. I mean, Tarantino used to work in a video store.
Right.
Okay, and he left no film unturned. That's no page unturned.
No page unturned. No film unwatched.
He left no film unwatched. He saw everything, every type. He even ventured into Japanese films, Chinese films,
Which
European
is very clear
films,
in his cinema
in everything.
anyway.
And he created this new genre where he just took two existing genres and he just created...
The Tarantino smoothie.
Yeah. I would have said spaghetti films, but... So if academics does not play a role, which it does, there is also this need to know, this need to watch. And at the end of the day, the amount of people going to the movies is less. The amount of people in our field that are actually have time or do watch or have the urgency to watch are not the younger generation. They just... they get a recommendation, they watch it on Netflix, it's done. Yeah. Click of a button and it's done. And we're talking about them like they're behind us in a way.
I don't think
they
they're behind us. I don't think they're behind us. I think that they are at a disadvantage due to the fact that there is a slight disadvantage here because
Slight.
Slight disadvantage.
Our generation is the transition generation.
Yeah.
We had to relearn the field 3 times.
Yeah.
We started with film and we had to move on to tape. And from tape, we had to move on to memory cards. And from memory cards, we move on to external hard disks. And so we had to relearn the entire process 3-4 times. So we are the transition generation. They got it easy. And most of them do not have this internal desire to just push it forward.
Yeah.
That's what's lacking.
Or the fearlessness of experimentation and risks and
it's because I think it's because we are not giving them the outlet.
Yeah.
And we are not giving them the proper, I'm not going to say outlet, we're not giving them the proper incentive.
Right.
We don't have the proper incentive. I mean, get in the field so that you watch a TV series that's on TV in Lebanese.
Yeah.
Local TV series. They are good. They are trying their best. They are doing something super impressive with the budgets they have, with the time constraints they have. I mean, for us working in the field, we know how hard it is.
Yeah.
We know how hard it is to actually put up an episode online, on TV. It's super difficult.
I mean, I would try to argue the budget thing because I don't think that they're doing the budgeting properly. But
Funds are lacking. Funds are lacking, but with what they have, they are trying their best and they are doing something. But we are not motivating the younger generation into look the product that you can achieve. Yeah. We're not giving them that. Yeah. We're not giving them that. Not yet, anyways.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Why not? It's a flip over. So in order to give into this new generation and to motivate them, and we're gonna have to start with ourselves, and we're kind of tired.
Yeah.
From relearning everything, I guess. That's,
I feel you.
That's the process. I guess the process was tedious a bit.
To begin with, and then to start over and start over and start over. The West Wing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's for me, I think, I don't think that there is a show that has transcended so high into the realm of brilliance, smart dialogue, characters, ideology, filmmaking techniques. Yeah. It's truly one of the greatest things ever made ever.
Yeah. You know how they say about Seinfeld? It's a show about nothing.
Yeah.
And they did 10 seasons of it. I think West Wing, it's about this one little thing. And he blew it up into a TV show. 10 seasons of...
Yeah. Well, he did do all of it.
He did the first 4.
Was it just the first 4?
It was only the first 4, yeah. But they took his style and they continued with the rest. It was only the first 4 and apparently the first 4...
So what was it, 5, 6, 7 after that? Because it was on for 7 seasons, right?
Yeah, it was. And the thing about it is he took this one thing and he thought, how about we do something in the backstage of the White House? So it's always the backstage for him. Backstage of a sports night show, backstage of Studio 60, something like SNL show, backstage of...
Which was, Studio 60 is still, my heart aches for Studio 60.
I know, it was too expensive.
It was so good.
It was too expensive. There was 30 Rock in parallel. They had to make a choice.
Yeah.
I'm happy for Tina Fey.
I mean,
Yeah, but still, Sorkin moved on to Newsroom. Think about it this way.
True.
Yeah. Think about it.
Which also lasted only 3 seasons.
Well, his writers weren't being very flexible. That's what I heard. But we can't judge. We don't know what happens inside these rooms, so it's...
Let's write a story about the backstage of what happens in Aaron Sorkin's room.
Rooms, yeah.
I'm copywriting it. Nobody take this.
Okay, registered. That's what the producer does.
Yeah,
I registered for you.
But I think that would be a great homage to Aaron Sorkin.
Definitely.
Just
definitely.
What happens in the writer, and then we'll just call it writer's room instead of newsroom.
Yes. Script to screen.
Brilliant.
Script to scream. That's what we should call it.
But I think not just, West Wing didn't just revolutionize kind of filmmaking techniques with the brilliant walk and talk, which kind of was founded on.
I think it started with the trust.
West Wing.
I think it started with the trust of the producer.
Right.
That's where someone like me out there said, you know what, we can make a TV show out of this. And I'm pretty sure when they received the script, it was pages and pages of dialogue.
Because it's Sorkin.
And I'm pretty sure they had a round table and they were discussing, how can we make this into something? Because too much writing.
It's a lot of dialogue.
And people will get bored. So there must have been some powerful producer.
Well, from what I heard in his master's class, he actually talks about this, where it was actually the director that
came up with the idea.
But
he wouldn't have done it if he hadn't had the backup of a producer.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah, and because whenever a director comes up with an idea, whenever a director comes up with a suggestion, they're always confident of the producer they have. And I guess this is where our role
plays. Well, it's actually,
I
think it's the reverse. It's the producer is confident with the director enough to kind of let them do their thing. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if the director doesn't feel safe in suggesting ideas because he doesn't have the backup, he's not going to do it. No matter who's producing or who got him on the job or whatever is happening, if the director doesn't feel comfortable, he doesn't feel safe, he's not going to even put a single input, a speck of input into it. He's not going to do it.
You're right.
So that's where our jobs come in.
Yeah.
Making them feel safe and giving them the opportunity to create something and make it their own. And
we'll get back to that in one quick second. The last thing I wanted to say about the West Wing was that it's also
Go
launched.
Watch it, people.
Yeah,
Go watch
it's
West
obvious.
Wing.
Go watch the West Wing. This is the only product placement. It also launched the careers of so many different people.
I did.
Allison Janney.
I worry about that because when I see them in other things, I'm like, okay, no. You should be writing a speech for the president. You shouldn't be on this TV show.
Yeah.
I think it kind of just tattooed them into it.
Yeah.
Because they were so perfect for their roles.
Yeah. They perfectly cast.
So perfectly cast. I can't see them in something else. That's what I fear when it comes to Sorkin's choices of characters. Mm-hmm. And even Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
I can't see him in anything else right now. I can't. I just see him sitting there hosting a show.
Watch Godless and then tell me because Jeff Daniels' work in Godless is phenomenal, which is my thing with Allison Janney. Did you see I, Tonya?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm waiting to see that one.
She also, she deserves that Oscar nomination.
I love the story.
100%. She deserves the Oscar nomination.
Okay.
And what the screenwriter did with I, Tonya was very creative.
Okay.
Very creative screenplay.
It's going to go right after Molly's Game.
Yeah,
I got to see Molly's Game first.
Yeah,
and then
of course. No doubt. Yeah. Speaking of what you were talking about before, the idea of like a producer making a director feel safe.
Yeah. I think that's...
how important is that relationship between producer and director? Because I know there are a lot of cases where, producer is seen as the, devil incarnate.
Yeah, because we hold the budget and we say yes and no and we decide and...
Because one of the biggest shockers that my students get in my classes, in my art of film classes, normally where I tell them that technically speaking, the final cut that you see in the movie theater is not the director's cut, it's the producer's. What? Their faces are just like, what do you mean?
When I get asked, who's level, who's higher on set? Is it the producer or the director? So I always tell them, who goes to pick up the Oscar for best film?
Amen.
It's the producer. It's not the director. It's not the screenwriter. To answer your question about the relationship, it's very symbiotic. Mm-hmm. To the point where the director is an extension of the producer, and the producer is an extension of the director. They have to be in sync. They have to give and take. They have to. I'm not going to say think the same way, but at least have the same ethics, the same standards, and the same direction. And not think the same way, because they have to clash at some point.
Yeah.
They have to juggle ideas and ping pong through it and go, what if we do this? Because if both of them come up with the same ideas, it's going to be unidirectional.
It's very flat. I was going to say, I would much rather have a producer that's going to be a little challenging and challenge my way of thinking.
And you have to demand from that director.
Versus a producer that's kind of like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, if they don't have that, people will notice. Mm-hmm. People will watch. Of course, they will not say, oh, the director did not have a good relationship with the producer, but they're going to say, this film is good. It's well made. Or they're going to say it's a bad film. Mm-hmm. And it shows. And it's so important that they be more than in sync. They be just one person on set. And so that they can have the freedom. Because at the end of the day, if the director believes in his producer and the producer believes in the director, they're going to work so freely. They're going to put in so much creative input. And I've experienced it. I've worked with many directors, and there are specific ones that I work with again and again and again because of that relationship. Because at the end of the day, I look at the director and he's like, can I do this? And I'll be like, definitely. He knows I have the budget for it. I have the time for it. I can back you up if the client doesn't like it, and I'm going to protect you in it. So go ahead and do it. And I think that's more important than who's being cast for this and who's being...
because I remember working... Because you were a supervising producer on my short film.
I was.
Bed Sheets and Cigarettes. And I remember my relationship with you in the beginning where you read the script, and it's very refreshing because we live in Lebanon, and we're going to tackle the Lebanese industry in just a second, where you're so used to the... I don't even know if there's a word for it in English, but the...
Well, what are you trying to say?
Like the boya, like the
whitewashing.
No, because whitewashing now means something else. It's a racial thing now.
It's become a racial thing,
where it's
sugarcoating.
Sugarcoating. There it is. Where it's like you sugarcoat your words, and
nice. Yes, beautiful.
Whereas like you read it and you're like, okay, I like it. Character business is missing. Title pretentious.
I did say that.
Because before Bed Sheets and Cigarettes, it was enigma, and you're just like, no, that's pretentious.
Yeah. It didn't fit.
Right. No, absolutely, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
But this is kind of that. This is the kind of thing where you're not delivering criticism or advice or suggestion just to deliver, but you're doing it out of
it's about care for the work. It's about care for the work
and love of the work, and to ensure that whatever project is moving forward is going to be a good experience for everybody.
Exactly, and it works on several phases. Because I get asked a lot to produce a lot of things and, budget for this and budget for that. If I don't like what I'm working on, it's going to show. It's going to show at the end of the day. So I've come to a point of selection in my life where, okay, I like the script, but I have these comments. And if I don't say them, they're going to keep nagging in my head. And I'm not going to be able to sleep because I did not say that the title is not good. So what I do now, and like the past few years, this is what I've been doing. I like this job. You got to change this and that. If you do it, I'm on board, I'm full on. If you don't do it, if you don't accept criticism, because at the end of the day, you can convince me why you chose that title, why you believe that title works. But if you're not flexible enough to give and take, then this symbiotic relationship, it's gonna break even before entering set. And when you're on set, you're on a clock. Everything is expensive. Everything is running out. You've got the money running out. You've got the food running out. Time energy.
Is money.
Time is money. And shots are expensive, and it's people's energy. It starts draining. So you better know you're into something all the way. So when you're looking at the script and there's something wrong and there's something missing, I directly go ahead and I say it. If there's something wrong with the show, you should fix this, you should do that, you should change the format. And I've been lucky so far that I've had people who actually understand my point of view, and they reciprocate at the end of the day, and they go like, okay, you're right, but I believe this should happen, and convince me. And
right.
If they manage to convince me.
you are a pretty tough person to convince. I'm
very logical because things have to make sense.
Yeah, it's not just logic. I think it's also practicality. Like you're a very practical person. Where do you think our industry is faltering? What is it?
And just one thing. Technically, we are as good as any other country in the world. You want to call Hollywood the best? We're as good as Hollywood. You want to call European films the best? We are as good as the European films.
And this from a tech level?
Technically, yes. When it comes to lighting, when it comes to equipment, our DOPs are some of the best in the world, and they're dedicated. And I've had the chance to work with amazing DOPs. Technically, we are way up there. There's nothing going wrong there. Our only mistake so far has been the content.
The writing.
Content is king.
Yeah.
People are watching a badly shot video on YouTube and they don't mind. They don't care what camera it was shot in, but the content is so relevant to them, they are watching. So content is king, and this is something that we are not addressing. This is an issue that we're not fixing. Content, script writing, and language.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, give me a badly shot film with a great narrative and I'm in. Give me a beautifully shot film with a bad narrative and you've lost me. You've lost me.
No one's going to see it. No one's going to see it. And with today's technological advances, if you shoot something that's shaky, you can stabilize it.
Yeah.
If you shoot something in nighttime, of course, the right equipment, you can bump it up 18 stops and 16 f-stops. And, you can shoot something nighttime and show it up in daylight. The final edit is going to be in daylight. And it's fascinating how advanced we are in technology. And we are not lacking in that area at all.
It's content.
It's the content.
I would add one more thing is organization.
I haven't had that with my projects.
because
I
you're
haven't faced that.
Because again, you're the monster on set. You're the alpha. You're the alpha wolf on set.
The alpha wolf warrior. Yeah. But the content. Even the language, the choice of words. The choice of words, it doesn't ring true to us. This is not how we talk to each other. And at the end of the day, there's something that is not being done, which is what we do, is we interrupt each other.
Yeah.
We're busy. We answer the phone, we look at the phone, we put our bag, we're drinking coffee. There's always the actor's business. There's always something that is happening, but we don't see that. They're always sitting in the saloons and in the salons and they're just talking.
Sit and talk.
Sit and talk, yeah. Other than our sit and talk.
Our sit and talk.
This is where we are. This is where we need improvement. It's always about the content. And it's about the choice of content also. Because I know there are a lot of good writers out there. I know there are a lot of good idea throwers out there. But they're not being given the chance.
Why do you think that is?
Lack of funds, okay.
Okay.
Makes a producing company go for something safe.
Okay.
Okay, because we have this amount of money and we have to make sure that everyone gets paid and that we actually bring the product to light.
Okay.
So let's do a love story. It's going to be safe. It's not to say that love stories are bad, but the typical, he cheated on me, I cheated on him, and this is a love story.
The love triangle.
There's no space for experimentation because of the lack of funds. And at the same time, there's a lack of connection between the producers and the writers.
Right.
Because if I write something right now, I don't know who to give it to because I am the producer.
Right.
You know? So if we find these writers and we just connect them on some form of platform, if we create something, tag the idea.
Yeah. Ours.
Like if we actually connect these people together, there might be like this whole revitalization of the media. I mean,
do you think? But this is another thing, and I think this would be the third and final thing that I would add on that we have to work on is our and this is kind of something we addressed in the past episode on Script to Screen is the ego.
Listen, a producer is a lot of people in one.
No. I'm not talking about the ego of the producer. I'm talking about
I know.
Egos
on set and the actors.
A lot of people and the writers. Would I work with another writer?
Okay, let me tell you. As a producer, you have to be a therapist.
Yeah.
You have to be a psychoanalyst. You have to be a fashionista because you got to know what's up to date.
Yeah.
You got to be a musician because you got to know, and you got to be cultured, and you have to be so many different people. When it comes to the egos, if you don't know your way around these people, because at the end of the day, they got their ego for a reason.
Right.
The people who deserve their egos. Yeah. I mean, the people who have been working for like 30 years, they get paid $1 million to come on screen for 1 minute. Definitely I'm going to have an ego. I was going to say another word.
Yeah.
Definitely I'm going to have an ego. And definitely I deserve it. So as a producer, you got to know how to do it. What I think you were meaning is the whole clicks.
Yes.
It's the clicks that are not meshing together.
Right.
This producer only works with these actors and only. But for me, it goes back to because I was able to infiltrate these cliques.
Right.
I don't belong to any clique, and I was able to infiltrate them. And I've worked not just in the Arab world. I've worked in Europe, and I've worked everywhere. And I've worked with huge companies, small companies, student films. I've been able to...
Indie short films.
Beautiful indie short films. Nat Geo. Yeah. So I've been able to infiltrate. But you can always find your way around that ego. This is never the issue.
Okay.
Go back to the content. If we give these actors good content...
Oh, I'm full on agreement with you on that point.
If we give them something good, something they could be passionate about, and if for some godly reason and God shines on us and we can actually shoot one episode at a time, this is going to improve the industry.
Not just not shoot one episode at a time, but
only shoot,
but showcase.
Yeah. No, I mean shoot.
Oh.
Because when we film, especially like in the TV series, they don't do one episode from beginning to end.
Oh no, yeah, they do
them in
location,
blocks.
Location blocks.
Yeah. And this doesn't help the actor at all.
No,
and this is why I appreciate the actors when I tell you like they're doing their best, because in one scene they're in the same studio, right? In one scene her brother died and she's got to be in a panic mode, and then cut. Okay, now you're having a love conversation with your boyfriend. I mean, the actor is gonna go all over the place. So
you're right.
It always goes back to these things that we are talking about, and the ego. You can always find your way around.
We've reached the final segment of our show.
That was fast.
Which is, time flew.
I wanted to say something. I have a feeling people are wondering who died because you have the form of classical music on the radio. They're like, who died?
Why is it so somber?
Why is it? It's Sorkin.
So this was the track from The American President, a Sorkin written film, which was kind of the jumping off point for him to do The West Wing, which is again one of our favorite shows. Okay, so rapid fire segment. Here we go. 10 questions. First answer that comes to mind. I do this with every single guest. You have not seen those questions, so you don't know what's being asked.
And you forgot to tell me about it.
And I totally forgot to prep you that there was going to be this section anyway. So bad host.
All right.
Shame.
Can you bleep or is
No, I can't bleep, so don't. Yeah, no. Okay. All right. So here we go. Question number 1. What is the film that you would defend for all time?
Vier Minuten. It's a German film. It's called 4 minutes. Okay. And there is nothing wrong with it. I've watched it so many times. I've memorized the German language because of it. And it just blows me away.
Is it 4 minutes or?
No, it's a feature film.
Oh, it's a feature film called 4 minutes.
Called 4 minutes. Okay. And it's way up there. There's Vier Minuten, there's Brick, and there's Whale Rider. Like these are my three.
Wow.
ultimate-
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Number 2, if your life could be defined as a film, what film would it be?
It would be a TV show. I would be Olivia Pope on Scandal.
Ooh. Hopefully not the later seasons.
No. Season 1, 2, 3.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
We're in agreement on this.
Yes.
But you are such an Olivia Pope, it's not even funny.
I am Olivia Pope.
You
yeah.
are Olivia Pope. A Lebanese version.
Let's talk to Shonda Rhimes and
Yeah.
maybe she could get us in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Number 3, what is a line of dialogue from a film that you will never forget?
The first TV series I ever watched was
Or
my
TV series.
yeah. It's My So-Called Life with Claire Danes, and her mother was talking to this teenager who reminded her of her kid because she had
Okay.
a fight with her kid, and she looked at her and she said, "When did you know?" And the girl looked at her and she says, "What do you mean?" And she replied back, "When did you know you died?"
Whoa.
Yeah, so she'd been imagining that girl because she's been trying to have a conversation with her rebellious teenage daughter.
Oh, wow.
That was,
That's
I
deep.
still get goosebumps, and I've never forgotten that. 1994.
That's deep. Okay. Question number 4. Which Lebanese actor would you most love to work with?
There's no one specific in mind. I've worked with many of them.
Okay.
And I have a positive experience with all of them.
Okay.
All of them. I mean, you know what you hear? Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
person's unprofessional.
Yeah,
They don't.
yeah.
No, I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of good actors, and there's no one specifically in mind that I'd like to work with.
Okay.
I've ticked those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which global actor would you like to have portray you in your life film?
Oh, that's something I've never thought of.
Yeah.
Who would be me? Tough question.
Tough question.
Very tough question. I mean, I can't even think of anyone right now. I like this question.
Isn't that
Yeah, you're
interesting?
going to keep me thinking about
Yeah,
it all.
yeah.
Even if I answer now, I'm going to be thinking like, is there a better answer for that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No idea.
No.
All right. I normally don't like having to pass, but we'll
Yeah,
pass. We'll pass.
Maybe way too many of them. Maybe way too many of them, I would say.
Which global director would you love to work with?
Fincher.
David Fincher.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
David Fincher.
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to watch Tarantino. I'd love to shadow him on set, but I'd love to work with Fincher.
Fincher.
Yeah.
Number 7. If you could have studied any other field than your profession, what would it have been? Well, actually, you did that.
I did that.
You did that.
My third would be a pilot, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 8. If you could meet anyone from the industry for a cup of coffee and a good old-fashioned conversation, who
Yes.
who would it be?
Guess.
Me? No.
Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin. Absolutely.
it's
That would be
definitely-
my answer.
Aaron
as well.
Sorkin, I need an interview with you.
Yeah.
Just a coffee.
Just a coffee.
Just a coffee, that's it.
Number 9. What would you like to? What would you?
Oh, I would add Tina Fey to the list. I would love to have a coffee with her.
Oh, yes.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
Agreed.
female writer.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, so I'd be Sorkin and then I'd meet her up. I'd be
Okay.
like, wait for me, I'm done with Sorkin.
Number 9. What would you like to have people say about you after you are long gone? May that day be very far away.
That they miss me, I guess.
Aww.
This is what I'd like them to say, yeah, that I actually left an impact on them.
Aww. And final question. What piece of advice would you give to new filmmakers in this country?
Keep at it and focus on the content. That's it. Everything else will fall into place. Equipment you can find, cameras you can rent, money will come eventually. Just focus on the content and give good stories. That's all about it.
Rania Atallah, thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you,
me
Alan.
here on Script to Screen. If people want to follow you on Instagram or Facebook,
Same name, Rania Atallah.
Rania Atallah, I will show
yeah.
you the handle up on somewhere for the YouTubers.
Contact me, let me know, send me scripts.
Yeah.
I'm up for helping anyone.
Again, thank you so much for being here. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Alan Mehanna Official. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment on Anghami, Apple Podcast, and YouTube because we're up. You can join me again next week here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. Final word really quick.
Art rules.
Art rules.
This is what life is about.
Join me again next week. Thanks, guys, for listening. Script to Screen, Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. See ya.